Hi everyone, this is Ghalib and you're watching me on YouTube. Christianity is the world's most dominant religion. More than 2 billion people follow Christianity around the world. Uh, Europe is predominantly a Christian uh, region, then the Americas both are Christian. Australia, there is a significant number of Christians in Africa. So by far, it's the most successful religion in the world. But right now, if we talk about any country in the world that can be called as the bastion of Christianity, that is the United States. For the last so many decades, Christianity is on the decline in the United States. The number of people who are going out of Christianity is rapidly increasing. And during the past 4 or 5 decades, that number has significantly increased and the trend is going downward. The number of Christians who were born in the United States, they are leaving Christianity before they turn 30 in greater numbers. Every decade it's increasing. So this year Pew has published results of their research that they did over so many decades. And according to their research, by 2070, it's extremely likely that Christianity is no longer going to be the dominant religion in the United States. So, we've already seen that Christianity has lost its political and religious power in Europe, and now similar things can happen in the United States as well. And it's quite striking for people like us who do not live in the United States, because when we look at the politics that is going on in the United States right now, the right winger Republican politicians and Donald Trump and what not happened in the last 5 years in the United States, it's quite surprising for people who do not live there. But it's not even surprising when you look at the data, and anyone who knows how things are going in the United States right now, they knew for a very long time that Christianity was on the decline. And as United States is one of those countries where most of the technological and scientific development is happening right now in the world, then it's almost understood. It's it's understandable that Christianity or any other religion in that country would be on the decline. But but United States is much more resilient to this kind of change than as compared to Europe and many other countries around the world. But what does this PU survey tell us? This is a projection under 4 scenarios that they present, and we are going to explain those scenarios here. US Christians projected to fall below 50% of population if recent trends continue. And when is that going to happen? It's going to happen in 2070. 2070, this is going to happen. And what are these 4 scenarios? The first one is no switching. This scenario imagines that no person in America has changed or will change their religion after 2020. And this is an extremely hypothetical or imaginative scenario because this is never going to happen. Then steady switching, movement into and out of Christianity remains stable at recently observed rates. The rate of 2020. That is, in each new generation, 31% of Christians become religiously unaffiliated before they turn 30. So basically, the most of religious switching out of Christianity happens between the ages of 15 and 30. And that's the time when this religious switching happens. And this religious switching is basically uh, uh, before the age of 30, 31% of the people who are born as Christians, they leave Christianity. 21 of the percent of the people who are not affiliated to any religion or who are non-believer also switch back to Christianity, or they switch into Christianity between the ages of 15 and 30. So So there is a 10% surplus of people leaving Christianity. So 21% people come back to Christianity and 31% leave Christianity. And the number of people that come into Christianity, that is also the immigrants and other people from other religions who convert into Christianity, and some of the people who are born to parents who do not give any kind of religion to their children, they also come back to Christianity. So this is now at 21%. Then rising disaffiliation with limits. In each new generation, a new share of Christians switch out before they turn 30, while the shrinking share of nuns means the people, unbelievers, atheists, or people who do not believe in any religion. But the switching rate is capped to prevent the share of Christians who leave the faith from rising above 50%. So the other scenario is an accelerated scenario out of Christianity, in which the number of people who leave Christianity does not go above 50%. So that is rising disaffiliation with limits. So no switching scenario, 54% of the people would be Christian in 2070. Still, it's going to decline, because right now the number of people who are Christian in the United States is 64%. But in 2070, even if no switching happens, on the same rate is going to be 54%. And if steady switching happens, then 46% of the people would be Christian. So Christian would be a minority. And if, let's say, rising this disaffiliation with limits, if the number of people who are leaving Christianity continues to increase, but it does not go over 50%, then there would be approximately 39% of the people who would be Christian to 2070. And then the last one is rising disaffiliation without limits. So in this each new generation, a growing share of Christians switch out before they turn 30, while the shrinking share of nuns switch in. No cap is imposed on switching rates. Then only 35% of the people would be Christians in 2070, and that would be a minority position. Let's say no switching happens, then the number of non-believers would only increase by 4%. It's right now it's 30%. So it would be 34% in 2070. And if steady switching happens, then it would be, if the same switching rates continue right now, then it would be 41% in 2070. And if switching with limits happen, like the switching rates out of Christianity do not go above 50%, then it would be 48% non-believers in 2070. But if there are a rising disaffiliation without limits, then it would be, non-believers would be in a slight majority in the United States. So this would be the case if such a thing happens. So this means that by 2070, there is a possibility that non-believers could be in majority, but there is a greater chance that Christians would be in minority by that time. If we have a look at all of these four major scenarios, so right now the number of Christians under the steady switching, under the switching rates that we are seeing right now, if these rates continue under steady switching scenario, right now the Christians are 64% and the non-believers are 30%. So the Christians will continue to decline, and in 2070 they would be 46%, and the atheists or non-believers would increase to 41%. And all the other religious people, Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, and whatnot, they are just 6% right now, but they are going to increase to 13% in 2070, and that is going to be due to immigration and children being born to people of other religions. So the second scenario, rising disaffiliation with limits, if that continues, like the switching out of Christianity rate stays below 50, continues to increase but stays below 50, then the Christians would be a minority in 2070. They would be just 39%. But if the non-believer ratio continues to rise, then they would be 48% in the 2070, and both of them would be none of them would have majority, but The non-believers or non-affiliated would be the largest group in the United States. Then rising without disaffiliation, without limits, if that scenario happens, then the decline would be extremely steep. In this scenario, in the rising disaffiliation with limits, it was also extremely steep, but it would be 39%. But in this scenario, it would drop to, the number of Christians would drop to only, the percentage of Christians would drop to only 35%. And no switching scenario, even in the no switching scenario, there would be a 10% decline in Christianity and 4% incline in the number of non-believers in the United States. So in all of these four scenarios, we can see that Christianity is on the decline right now in USA. And maybe that's why we are seeing a rise in extremism, Christian extremism, that is happening right now in the United States. I think the results would be somewhere in between these two. Maybe in 2070, we would be somewhere in between these two. So between 46% and 39% would be the number of Christians, and between 41% and 48% would be the number of non-affiliated, non-religious people. So because, no one can correctly predict this. There could be some scenarios in which even Christianity can rise in the United States because of wars or because of some other kind of problems that we cannot predict. Something else can also happen. But the likely scenario is that Christianity is going to be on decline. So as we can see that this is the trend that is happening in United States right now. But United States is just an indicator. This is an international trend that is happening right now. And this is going to be an extremely disruptive trend in the coming decades throughout the world. And right now we can see that this is happening to Christian America. But let me tell you, all of this is also happening in the Muslim world as well. Because people are leaving their religions behind. Why they are leaving their religion behind? Because of science, because of education, because of this global rational movement that is going on. And people are going to continue to leave their religion behind. And more people are going to become rational and non-believers. And this thing is also becoming much more easy now, because earlier, a few decades back, maybe 4 or 5 decades back, the religious identity was very important. There was no secular culture around in the world. But now, not only in the United States, but all around the world, even in the third world, in countries like India and Pakistan, there are pockets of people who are non-believers. Especially in my country, Pakistan, people cannot openly profess of their non-believer atheism. They have to wear guises, or they have to protect their identities. They cannot tell everyone that they are atheists. But this is happening right now in my country. Look at what is happening in Iran right now. The survey about Iran was even more breathtaking. It was extremely astonishing, and maybe we don't know how it's going to be in the future. But future is going to be extremely exciting, and maybe 21st century is the last century for the domination of dogma in the world. And let's hope when the 22nd century begins, there are more rational people in the world who believe in the betterment of humanity on rational grounds rather than on dogmatic grounds. So this is Ghalib Kamal signing out. Bye-bye. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. You can also support me on Patreon. The link to my Patreon is in the description of this video.